Canada has the worst household debt in the G7, by far the worst, and that debt risks blowing up when rates rise. Now, Mr. Speaker, one of the ways the Prime Minister has been wasting money is he gave $210 million to the Asian Infrastructure Bank, which is controlled by Beijing and designed to build the infrastructure of Beijing's communist empire throughout Asia. We warned him 5 years ago, and now some of that bank's own executives are speaking out against it. He claims he's stalling his involvement in the bank, but the real question is, when will we get our $200 million back?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canada has long been involved in investing in infrastructure around the world because we know that it creates growth and opportunity in the global south. It continues to contribute to fighting climate change as people are building more resilient infrastructure and indeed in energy infrastructure. And we are part of multilateral development banks all around the world. But as the Leader of the Opposition pointed out, we are reviewing our participation in the Asian Infrastructure Bank, and we'll make the decision that's right for Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So he's defending the $200 million he gave to a bank one of whose executives said, and I quote, "I didn't find a single tangible benefit to communicate back home here to Canada what this bank does that is consistent with our values in a way that would benefit Canadians." That the Prime Minister, while Canadians are starving and can't heat their homes, he's forcing them to give $200 million to this bank, controlled by Beijing, to expand a communist empire in Asia. Mr. Speaker, when will Canadians get their $200 million back from this liberal-friendly bank?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
As I said, we are evaluating our continued participation in this multilateral development bank controlled by Beijing. We continue to look very, very carefully at how we're having a positive impact around the world with investments in infrastructure and how we're delivering for Canadians in the fight against climate change, in growth around the world that benefits Canadians, and in participation in supports for the Global South.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Just admitted, and I quote, that the Asian Infrastructure Bank is controlled by Beijing. He says he's not going to get our money back. He's just going to review our participation. While Canadians can't afford to eat, heat, or house themselves, he's forcing them to give almost $250 million to this Beijing-backed bank. So once again, je pose la question, est-ce que le...
I ask the question once more. Will the Prime Minister get our money back from this bank, which he admits is controlled by Beijing? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our commitment to the construction of infrastructure throughout the world, especially in emerging countries in the South, means that we make investments for roads, for power plants, and for other projects in the South. We will continue to do so. We are reassessing our participation in the Asian Investment Bank, and we're going to share our conclusions with Canadians when we conclude our assessment.